The other day, just around the corner from Rebel Media's Swank World Headquarters in Toronto, I had a prescription filled at Shoppers Drug Mart. Now, when paying for the eye drops, I presented my Shoppers Optimum loyalty card in order to earn some points. However, the clerk said, "No way, Jose." You see, pharmacy consumers can no longer earn points when purchasing prescription pharmaceuticals thanks to a decision by the Ontario Superior Court a few years ago. The court upheld a decision of the Ontario College of Pharmacists to ban such marketing practices on the grounds that a pharmacy offering an inducement is professionally unethical when it comes to getting prescriptions filled. As a result, Ontario pharmacies are affected when it comes to prescriptions being filled. PharmaPlus can no longer reward customers with air miles. Shoppers Drug Mart can't dispense those Optimum card points, and so on and so forth. Whether it is unethical, folks, for the likes of Shoppers to dispense reward points in order to garner prescription purchases, well, that's a matter for debate. But there's a far more egregious ethical and even fiscal breach occurring in Ontario regarding a loyalty scheme. For example, later that day I dropped by my unfriendly neighbourhood Liquor Control Board of Ontario shop, and at the point of sale, the clerk asked me if I collected air miles. Now wait a second, the LCBO has a mandate to promote socially responsible drinking, but it continues to hand out air miles to its customers? Indeed, the question arises, folks, how is this in the interest of Ontario taxpayers? Professor Donald N. Thompson has examined this issue, and he claims the LCBO's marketing initiative is both inexplicable and irresponsible. Says he, why does the LCBO give air miles? The LCBO is, in most of what it does, a monopoly. Where else are customers going to purchase alcoholic beverages? And folks, the costs associated with participating in air miles are huge. Professor Thompson notes that air miles on average cost a retailer 2.65 cents per mile plus an administrative charge. Thus, if only half of the LCBO's customers use air miles, and assuming the LCBO gets a preferential rate because of its size, Thompson calculates this loyalty program costs the LCBO about $20 million a year on sales of $3 billion. That's $20 million going into the coffers of Loyalty One, the company that administers air miles, as opposed to, say, healthcare, education, roads, and whatever else the provincial government spends LCBO revenues on. That might include cancelled gas plants, e-health, orange, green energy, and assorted other multi-billion-dollar boondoggles these days, but I digress. Talk about an abuse of regulatory authority. Similar to the Pharmaceutical College, there are rules in Ontario regarding the use of incentive programs when it comes to the purchase of alcohol. In fact, at first glance, the LCBO appears to be breaching the advertising guidelines that are administered by the Alcohol and Gaming Commission of Ontario, the province's booze regulator. It's right there in black and white, folks. Quote, "A frequent buyer's club concept would not be acceptable." That's in Section 8, Subsection 7 of the AGCO's advertising regs. So what gives? Here's what gives, folks. When the AGCO took over the regulatory powers of the now defunct Liquor Licensing Board of Ontario, the LCBO was actually exempted from AGCO regulations. Yes, the largest purveyor of booze in the country has carte blanche to do whatever it deems necessary, being it squandering tens of millions of dollars on Taj Mahal liquor stores or veering around advertising guidelines that apply to other liquor retailers, such as independent wine shops. That's an abuse of power, and it's completely unfair and uncompetitive. Certainly, Loyalty One couldn't be happier that the LCBO spends money like a drunken sailor, yet ethics aside, how does the LCBO justify its air miles expenditures from a purely fiscal standpoint? If an Ontarian wants to buy a bottle of scotch, it is literally the LCBO's way or the highway. Drive the buffalo. Also, just consider that the LCBO bases its very existence on the credo of social responsibility. You see, because alcohol is a potentially dangerous substance, the co-parents at government-owned Booze Incorporated must be entrusted to move the merchandise because, you see, the private sector only cares about making money. But how does offering an incentive program in which the more you buy results in more reward points? How does that jive with the concept of social responsibility? Simply put, you can't suck and blow at the same time, LCBO. And in the meantime, the Ontario Treasury is getting shortchanged by about $20 million on an annual basis. It's enough hypocrisy and mismanagement to make a teetotaler chug down a double shot of Jack Daniels. For TheRebel.media, I'm David the Menzoid Menzies.